Hi guys, welcome back to Wentworth Life, the YouTube channel that gossips everything about Wentworth Prison. I hope you've all had a fantastic week. I don't know what the weather has been like in the UK, but it was boiling in Bulgaria. Not going to lie though guys, I am happy to be back. Anyway, we have a double whammy review video today, episode 6 and 7. And a lot has happened in these two episodes, so we have a lot of ground to cover. But before we get started, I have some exciting spoiler news. So, as in one of my previous videos, I said to you all that Frankie was meant to be coming back in episode 6, but unfortunately, she didn't appear. However, this evening it has been leaked in the latest magazine article that Frankie is back. No further details has been released as of this time, but this is a genuine magazine that I usually get a lot of my spoilers from. So as soon as more information has been posted on this, I will let you know. Okay then, so let's get started. Episode 6 is titled Mother, and it's a very heavily featured episode of Boomer on day release with her mother, May Jenkins. Boomer is let out on day release and her mum arrives in the car to pick her up. Straight away we discover that Boomer's mum is not very nice to her at all. In fact, she's awful to her. She seems to constantly take the mick out of her about her weight, and at one point she rubs it in that Daz and her sister are basically down the beach having a root. Basically Daz was Boomer's boyfriend, but he dumped Boomer for her sister Trina. So that just sums up the sort of woman that Boomer's mum is. So Boomer's mum takes her back home, and May is telling Boomer that she's apparently found God and that she's off the booze and is running a business from home selling baby formula to the Chinese. Apparently it's a real earner. During one scene, Boomer is in her bedroom looking at some old photos. And we learned that Boomer had a lot of different stepfathers while she was growing up. She's definitely not had it easy, our poor Boomer. Later on, Boomer has an argument with her mum, and Boomer tells her that she has, fetal alcohol syndrome, and basically runs outside crying, bless her. May comes out and sweet talks Boomer around for some ice cream. So they go to the beach and they have some ice cream, and it's a really cute scene. Boomer, you can see, is reminiscing about being a child coming down the beach, and it just made me feel quite sad for her. But anyway, May ends up getting like a suspicious phone call, and she tells Boomer that they need to go and pick up some new baby formula. Unfortunately, while Boomer is sitting in the car waiting for him, May comes running out with a trolley full of stolen baby formulas. She gives Boomer the car keys to basically drive, but they both end up getting caught. Boomer's like, I'm not doing it. And they both end up getting arrested. And Boomer's mum is so horrible that she even tries telling the police that it's all Boomer's idea, she's the jailbird. But in the end, they both end up back in Wentworth. Dr. Miller asks Boomer, what happened? And Boomer explains what her mum did, and basically now her parole is no more. Moving on to Dr. Miller, Jake is still being the green-eyed monster, and when Jake finds out about Liz's psychotic episode from a few episodes ago, she had that really bad side effect, Jake ends up reporting it to the authorities to basically just get back at Dr. Miller because Dr. Miller's getting close to Vera. Dr. Miller tells Vera that he now has to face the board and Liz might have to come off the medication, but what's really annoying is that the medication is now starting to work for Liz because this is the best we've seen Liz in a while. So I really hope she doesn't have to come off the medication. Later on, Sean Brody tells Jake that he knows it was him who reported Dr. Miller and he's going to tell Vera unless Jake gives him a blowjob. So Jake ends up grabbing Sean and throws him against the locker and threatens him. So later on, Sean gets his own back by falsely accusing Jake of sexually harassment, and Jake is called to the governor's office and basically is suspended pending investigation. Moving on to the real dramatic part of this episode. So we still don't know 100% who killed Kaz. Costa is let out of the slot because the blood on the hoodie wasn't a match. Costa knows that it was Mari that planted the hoodie on her and threatens her in the corridor before finding out that Mari is now the new top dog. Do you remember the Ruby is the killer note? Well, it gets found during another ramp of the prison and it's brought to Vera's attention. Vera checks the CCTV and Ruby was in the gym at the time of the killing. So Vera calls Mari to the office and tells this to her and suspects that Mari wrote the note to take the heat off herself. When Vera shows Mari the note, Mari instantly recognises the handwriting. It's Drago's handwriting. So Mari goes back to the cell and tells Ali about it and tells Ali to go and check Ruby's neck for the tattoo. But Ruby won't show Ali and the penny drops for Ali, so later on Rita and Ruby go to see Ali and basically tell her the full story. And Ali goes back to Mari and says that there was no tattoo on Ruby's neck. But later on Mari discovers that Ali has lied to her and Rita brings Ruby to Mari's cell to basically tell Mari the whole truth on what happened that night, that Danny raped Ruby's girlfriend. And Ruby hit Danny in the car park. She didn't mean to kill him, but she did. And the look on Mari's face is enough to know that she is seeing red at this point. And Rita quickly points out to Mari that she will do anything to protect Ruby, in order to try and get Mari to back off. But of course this isn't going to stop Mari, because later on Mari buys some drugs off Mr. Brody and she ends up drugging Ruby's food. So Ruby goes to medical because she thinks she has like an epileptic fit coming on. And then what Mari does, she goes back to her cell, cuts open her arm so she can go to medical and basically kill Ruby. Ali discovers what Mari is about to do and takes Mari's drugs to the officers to try and get her slotted. Back in the hospital wing, Mari is about to smash in Ruby's head with a metal kettle. But Vera and the officers arrive just in time to slot Mari. So while Mari is being taken to the slot, she sees Ali in the distance and she realises that Ali has lied to the officers to protect Ruby. Mr. Jackson visits Mari in the slot, and at this point Mari is having a complete mental breakdown and she wants to be let out. She's like, "You're the fucking governor, take me out of here." And Ruby goes back to, the H-wing and she starts to feel better, but unfortunately she ends up collapsing in front of Rita, Liz, Boomer and May, and at this point Ruby is in a really, really bad way. It looks like that her brain aneurysm has burst, and this is pretty much how episode 6 ends, so quite a cliffhanger at this stage. Now we're going to delve straight onto episode 7, and this episode is titled Bad Blood. And I'm not going to lie guys, this is a very, very dark episode. Things take a bit of a turn and you can tell something is rising for something big that's coming. So let's jump straight in. Ruby is rushed to the hospital and she's in a critical condition. Vera tells Rita that it's a burst aneurysm, and Rita is begging Vera to go to the hospital. Vera's like, it's not her decision anymore, but she will ask Mr. Jackson. So Vera asks Will, and he says he isn't sure, but at the same time, Vera's really shocked that Will has let Mari out of the slot so early. Mari goes to Ali, and Mari is furious that Ali lied to the screws. Ali basically says that she did it to protect her because she knew she was going to medical to kill Ruby. Mari tells Ali that, well, hopefully the burst aneurysm will kill Ruby for me. And literally, Mari leans right up to Ali and gives her a very dark, sinister kiss, looks right into her eyes. Bit of a freaky scene, I'll be honest with you. So Mari goes to see Will in his office, and as she enters the office, Will is watching a news report about Channing, and it's looking like that Channing's charges may be dropped, but then he turns the TV off. But Mari tells Will that he shouldn't let Rita go and visit Ruby in the hospital. At this stage, Mari literally has Mr. Jackson wrapped around her finger, and Mr. Jackson goes to Vera and refuses Rita's visit. Ali is begging Miss Miles for a transfer away from Mari, And Miss Miles basically says, no, we're not playing musical cells. And then we also find out that Miss Miles is 20 grand in debt to one of Sean Brody's men. Oof. Later on, Vera breaks the news to Rita that Mr. Jackson has refused the visit, and Ali tries to comfort Rita, but then an evil Mari goes up to Rita and basically says, now you know what it feels like for a family member to die alone. And Rita turns around and she's literally going for Mari. It looks like she's literally about to rip Mari's head off. But instead, Rita tries to jump the fence, and she ends up trying to escape in front of all the women and Vera and the officers. But obviously Rita can't get past the barbed wire, and she's cutting herself to shreds in a fit of rage in front of everyone. The alarms are going off, and Rita basically slices her arm. Do you remember, like, back in season 2 when Bea did that knife slice up her arm to go to hospital? Well, that's basically what Rita does, and she does it on purpose, so it looks like that she's trying to injure herself so that she can go and visit Ruby. I actually found this scene quite disturbing. I was quite not expecting it, and I had my hands over my mouth while she was getting trapped in the barbed wire. And the whole time this was happening, Mari was just standing there smiling. Oh, it was a horrible scene, guys, but very well acted. So Rita's put into the slot, and she's refusing medical attention, and she's refusing food. Vera is feeling really very sympathetic towards Rita, and she's trying her best to try and get Will to change his mind, but Will is just plain blank refusing. Mari has a visitor from her solicitor guy and gives him some more photos and tells him to leak them all to the press immediately. Later on, we find out that they are photos of Channing owning the brothels, and basically it was a direct threat to Mari's real protector, because later on again, in another scene, Mari is using a mobile phone and she phones her protector saying that if he doesn't get her out of prison, the same thing is going to happen to him. Jake comes to the prison to visit Vera and basically tells her that Sean is lying about the allegations. Jake does admit to Vera that he had a gay relationship with Sean about 5 years ago in Walford prison. In a later scene, Jake comes back to visit Sean during the night time, and Jake pretends that he's going to do some sexual favours with him in the boiler room. However, Jake has recorded their conversation on his phone, and Jake tells Sean that he will take it to Mr. Jackson if he doesn't drop the allegations. And if I remember correctly, Sean does agree to this, so Jake should be back in the next episode. Mari finds out from Will that Ali has requested to be moved, and Mari has a very scary chat with Ali, and basically Mari is vicious in this episode. She's really horrible to Ali. And, you know, I'm feeling quite scared for Ali and some of the women against Mari. I know she's not the toughest, but by God, guys, she has that Ferguson look about her at the moment. But Mari tells Will that her and Ali have ended their relationship, and Mari and Will basically start their affair again. They end up having sex on on the governor's table. So I feel sorry for Vera when she ends up coming back as governor. During the night time, Rita is extremely distressed, and I have to say, Leah Purcell's acting is outstanding in these scenes. Vera ends up taking Rita to the hospital behind Will's back to visit Ruby. Ruby is about to have an operation to try and clip the aneurysm, so while that's happening, Rita and Vera have a heart-to-heart in the waiting room, which is a really lovely scene to watch. Vera tells Rita that she will never have that bond that Rita has with Ruby, and Rita's like, yes you will, with your baby. And Rita even feels Vera's stomach while the baby's kicking, and it's just a really lush scene. After the operation, and after a few complications, Ruby is out of theatre, and by this stage, you know, Rita and Vera are hugging like they're best friends. But just as Rita goes to visit Ruby, she starts fitting, but luckily it's just a common side effect after such a big operation. So Rita eventually does go to visit Ruby, and Ruby wakes up, and Ruby tells Rita that she's been looking for her, and Rita says she's been here the whole time. And I gotta say, guys, I was crying at this point. I haven't properly cried this season in Wentworth. I might have had like a tiny tear, but guys, this episode was so emotional. It was fantastic. The acting is phenomenal anyway, but this episode they really upped the game. So with Ruby okay now, Vera takes Rita back to the prison, but unfortunately Mr. Jackson has caught them coming back, and that is how that episode ends. So I really hope that Will doesn't sack Vera. I think Will has got a bit of a short memory here, because it was only last season Vera covered up Will's murder on Ferguson, so I think he needs to remember that. It wouldn't be hard for Vera and Jake to team up against Will if he goes down this path. Really not liking Will at the moment. I know he's been manipulated, but he's not a stupid little boy, is he, guys? So he needs to sort his act out, otherwise I'm going to be happy for him to be killed off by the end of this season, which is quite shocking for me to say, because Will has always been one of my favourite characters. So yeah. Just a few pointers from the episode 7. Liz is writing to his son to come and visit her, and I think he's going to be appearing in this Tuesday's episode. And Boomer's mum was literally just being a bitch to her the whole time. Episode 6, I'm going to rate an 8 out of 10, and episode 7, I'm going to rate a lovely 9 out of 10, just for basically how amazing the acting was in the whole episode. What did you guys think of Leah Purcell's acting, guys? Honest to God, it was outstanding, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on how great the acting was. I know a few people I saw on Facebook groups said that they felt the episode was a little bit boring, but for me, I thought it may not have had as much action in this episode, but it's all about the acting for me, so I just felt like it was perfect. Anyway, now it's on to some comment replies. So we've got Nikki Shields. I've got treats ready. Can't wait for this episode tonight. Loved last week. Wentworth rules. Loving it. Never miss an episode. I always have treats as well, Nikki. Literally, I always have like some crisps. I get some chocolate. And I sometimes have an energy drink. I don't normally have them. I usually have them as a treat. But for some reason, I do love an energy drink when I'm watching something, if I'm in the cinema, just to keep me awake, really. Not that I need Wentworth, but it's just like a treat thing for myself. Thank you for your comment. Joel Misardo. Ali has done a complete 360 from season 4 and 5. I really liked her, and now I can't stand her. How could she compare Kaz and Mari? Mind blown. If Ali redeems herself, I don't think I could forgive her for being so naive. I hope she's next to go. P.S. For some reason, I think Dr. Miller is the killer. Although I have no facts to support this. Hopefully he'll have a serial killer story arc. At the very least, there's something sketchy going on with Hill and possibly that medical trial. Joel, I have to agree with you. There's something not quite right with Dr. Miller. And I don't know where they're going with this storyline, but something's not quite right. And I totally agree with Ali. However, at the end of episode 7, I was quite shocked at how Mari was treating Ali, but a trailer for next week shows Ali shouting at Mari in front of all the women, and I was literally rooting. It was literally a very short trailer, but yeah, I think Ali's going to shock us in the next episode. Hold that thought. Ridgemont High, could you please say hello to superfans Tyler, Joyride and Kimberly? Thanks, really enjoys your review. Well, here is a massive shout out for you guys, and I'm really glad that you enjoy my videos. North Troll, I don't understand how Ali suddenly became so naive. Back in season 4, she was the only one in the Red right hand who knew they couldn't trust Joan. That is so true, North Troll, I have to agree with you. However, Ali she has history with Mari and she was in love with her. I do understand she has been a bit silly and stupid, but now it's starting to unravel, so hopefully now Ali can do a good U-turn on us. Thank you for your comment. Sorry guys, I'm slowly losing my voice here, but I'm going to keep going. Donna G, my mind is blown. Mine too, it's been an amazing season so far. Pamela Cook, the Red right hand will get to the bottom of it. Pamela Cook, I agree with you. I've got a feeling they may have something to do with the upcoming Siege episodes. Thank you for your comment. Ruth Robel, these videos are over the top awesome. I so look forward to each one. Thank you for your hard work, dear. Oh, thank you, Ruth. To be honest, I do love drama. Like, I love dramatic music, I love dramatic TV programs, and I love a dramatic film. So I do enjoy making a dramatic YouTube video. Tamara Green Cushion, is it? I think the freak will come back from dead. Well, I think the internet will go into complete meltdown if that happens. But I tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me because they haven't talked much about it in this season. So could you imagine right at the very... Can you imagine, guys, if Ferguson is the one who's going to be behind the upcoming siege? It might be jumping the shark a little bit, but if anybody could explain her coming back from the dead, Wentworth will. So thank you all for your lovely comments, guys. I'm actually starting to lose my voice. I've taken swigs of water. But here is a few preview pictures for next week. So I'm going to run those now and then end the video. So I'm going to say my bye-byes now, guys. 2 more sleeps and I'll be making the next review video. So thank you for watching, guys, and I shall see you very, very soon.